Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jenelle Riley. I'm so thrilled to welcome you to this SAG-AFTRA Foundation conversation. Since his breakthrough performance in The Social Network, this is an actor who has consistently turned in great performances in all kinds of genres. He is currently on screen in not one, but two exceptional films, The Birth of a Nation and Nocturnal Animals. Please welcome Armie Hammer. Let's get this out of the way right away. You're very tall.
I am tall. You can blame my parents for that one. Yeah.
Oh, really? Are they tall? Because like most tall people I know have short parents. It's really weird.
No, my dad's tall, my mom's tall, my wife's tall. We just took our daughter to the doctor yesterday, and she's 2, and he said she is a little bit short for a 4-year-old.
Really?
So I think everybody's just tall.
I was just noticing as you were coming through, you're the only person who's ever almost hit their head on the ceiling. So I was like, wow. And that's just unusual for an actor. Anyway, this is a audience of SAG actors. I always like to start by asking, how did you get your SAG card?
I was Taft-Hartley'd in on a movie that was a small independent movie, and they needed a waiter to come over, and I think it was, who was in it? Kip Perdue was in it. I don't even remember what it was called. I think it was called Laura Smiles or Laura's Smile, something like that. And I played a waiter, and I came up, and I wasn't supposed to have any lines, and I was supposed to do this thing, and the director was like, you got to say something. And I was like, do you guys want anything? And they're like, yeah, fine, okay, good. And that was it.
Wow.
And then they realized, because it was such a small production, they were like, oh, wait, do you have a SAG card? And I was like, no. And they were like, oh, no. And they kind of had to scramble to... Sorry, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to tell that story, but yeah, that's how I got my SAG card.
And there went their entire budget.
Yeah.
Getting someone's SAG signatory. So on to The Birth of a Nation, which they just watched here. This is one of those stories that I'm embarrassed I didn't know. Yeah. You know, I don't know if you were familiar with the story of Nat Turner and how, when the script or the story found its way to you, what your response was.
That was exactly what it was. I received a script from my agent, and it was called Birth of a Nation, and I didn't go to film school, but I knew, I was like, that sounds kind of familiar. That's, okay, and that was really all I thought about it. And then I sat down and I read the script, and I read the story, and I put it down. I was like, that is one of the most incredible stories I've ever read in my entire life. There's no way that's true. Right. And then I Googled that, and then I started to get like more and more angry that I'd never actually heard the story. I went to high school, I took US history. This is one of the most American stories I've ever heard. It's about rising up against tyranny. It's about freedom. It's about the expression of your free will. I mean, this is what our country was founded on. Why didn't I hear this? And then I sat down and I met with Nate, and he had so much passion about this. He'd been working on it for 8 years, ceaselessly. And his enthusiasm was just infectious, and I was like, sure, I'm going to do whatever you're going to do. That's fine. All right.
He is a first-time feature director. Was there any hesitation in that? Because this could go wrong so many ways. Let's be honest.
I'll be honest. I was expecting it to go wrong in a lot of ways. I would love to direct one day. It seems like just a fun way to be responsible for your own content and to just create what you want to create and all that. There's just like a draw for it for me. So I figured, what better way to learn than to work with a first-time director who is an actor and see what catches him off guard, see what surprises him, see what he's not prepared for. And it didn't work out so well in this one, because he showed up on the first day and he wasn't even shooting, and he was in a suit and tie, and he was extremely professional through the whole thing, and he was just like, move that light over there, okay, get that over there, we need more smog in the atmosphere, we need this and that, boom, 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 move that, okay, you guys ready, everybody, okay, you two switch places, okay, let's go, let's do this.
Wow.
And I was just like, wait, no, I want to see you figure this out, like, I want to figure this out as you figure this out. But I thought it would be great to work with a first-time director and just see sort of what caught him off guard, and nothing really seemed to.
Were you like, I was supposed to learn from your mistakes?
Yeah, I wanted to. He didn't seem to make any while we were making the movie, you know? I mean, it was great.
Was there any special preparation you did for the role of Samuel Turner?
Yeah, quite a bit. I have a professional researcher who I've been working with for the last couple projects, maybe the last 6 or 7 projects. She used to work for a studio, and this is what she would do. She would research and get clearance and find things and all that. So I met her through a mutual friend, and I heard what she did, and I said, would you ever do that for like an actor or something like that? And she goes, yeah, of course, why not? And I go, okay, can I hire you on a project? And I remember I hired her for something, and she came back after about 4 or 5 weeks with about 7,000 pages of stuff, whether it be newspaper articles that she went and got off of like microfilm, or whether it be going to local areas there and pulling charters. I mean, I had everything about the Turner plantation and the Franklin plantation, which is sort of, within the family. I knew how their crops did every year. I could see how the drought would affect them. I could see what everyday life was like. I had journals, I had everything. So it wasn't about guessing what everyday life was. It was about actually just going through this and figuring out what works for my character from this real tales of everyday life. So I had tons of research and books and books and books and books. And then, just sort of absorbing all that for as long as I could before actually going was extremely helpful. And then we were also shooting on these places that I could read about. We were going to plantations that were mentioned in these writings, which was really creepy and weird,
I don't think people are aware, because the movie looks so fantastic, just what a low budget it was.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not even sure what it was, but I know it looks...
It was low.
Yeah.
And I think we shot it in like 23 days or something like that. I mean, we didn't have enough in the budget for rain. So if it rained one day, we would just lose that day. Like, we didn't have any insurance on it. We had nothing. So it rained one day, and fortunately we scrambled and just got as many cover shots as we possibly could, but there was nothing. I mean, it was like, we have to get this done, no questions.
I knew it was a short shooting schedule. Ooh, say that 10 times fast. I didn't know it was quite that short. That's really amazing. 8 years of preparation, and then you have 23 days to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, how did you tackle, there's this very complex dynamic, because Samuel is Nat's owner, but also his childhood friend.
Yeah.
And I think it's, the scene where they purchase Cherry is like a wonderful example of how he has to, he doesn't have to, but he sort of remembers to put Nat in his place,
Yeah.
but he also does feel a kinship to him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a strange dichotomy.
I remember reading this for the first time and sort of getting an idea of the relationship between these two characters, because Nate's script was so well written and he just sort of flushed everything out so well. And I think the original script that I read was like 170 pages or something like that. But I liked the idea that so in my research, I found out that it's incredibly historically accurate that the enslaved children and the enslavers' children would play together all the time until they were the age of about 12. And that's when modern science told people that, now, little white kids, your brains are going to continue to grow, so we're going to take you and put you in school and blah, 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 and then you kids are going to go out and work in the field. And this was just totally accepted science at the time. And I liked the idea that Samuel left when he was young. So when he left, Nat was still his buddy. He hadn't been taught that hatred. Yes, he'd been around it, and I'm sure some of it seeped in through osmosis, but he hadn't truly been taught racism, which is really the only way you get it. And so he comes back when his father's sick and when his father dies, and they go, "Oh, Nat's here." And he goes, "Oh, Nat, my buddy, great." And he goes, "Oh, no, he's your property." He goes, "No, what do you mean?" "Yeah, Nat, I want to see him." He goes, "Well, yeah, of course you can. He's yours. You own him." It's like, okay, and that's when the dynamic and relationship started to change between enslaver and enslaved. And then you have this guy who's struggling in this system. He's trying to run this plantation that is running itself into the ground because it's not being run well and all that. So he has an idea. Instead of making money off of the earth, he's going to make money off the blood, sweat, and tears of his old friend. And it starts to become more and more successful, and he starts to become more and more successful and get more and more money. And the more successful in this corrupt socioeconomic system of slavery that polluted and ruined everything it touched, the more successful he became within that system, the more of himself he had to sort of give up or compromise. And then you see him trying to deal with it in different ways, whether it be alcohol or something like that. But he lost himself in the process. And I liked the idea of, it's even hard to call him a pure villain or the bad guy of the movie, because I liked the idea that you don't get the choice of looking at him and going, "I would never be that." I mean, we would all hope that we would never do that, obviously. But in that time, you start out and you go, "I think he's a good guy. I think I'd be a good guy like he's a good guy." And then you just see what happens in that system and how it just corrupted everything.
It is really interesting how it's done and showed over time. Like when he's like, "You should be grateful that I'm letting you go see your wife on her potential deathbed."
Just got, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, and he really does think that he's,
That he's doing the good thing.
Yes, that he's being generous.
Yep.
And you might have just answered this, but I'm curious, what was the most difficult part of making the movie? If there was a particular scene or a particular day that was, the day it rained probably didn't help.
Yeah, I mean, there were so many moments in this movie that were as uncomfortable as they were to watch. Imagine taking 12 hours to film one of the scenes or something like that. I mean, there were days where everybody was crying or wanting to give up, and Nate, to his credit, would go, okay, everybody, come here, let's gather around, everybody come here. And he would stop what we were doing on a movie where we did not have time to stop for anything. And he would go, look, I know what we're doing is really hard, and I know this is uncomfortable, and I know that this is bringing up a lot of stuff in people. But we're doing this for that reason. Like, we owe it to that to make this right. We got to do this. But that didn't make any of the days easier. I mean, the scene of at the Fowler plantation where they hammer the teeth out.
Yep.
I mean, they hired a guy who had a complete set of dentures, and what they did is they took his dentures out and they made prosthetic dentures that had the teeth and the blood in there and all that, so they could literally hammer the teeth. And just watching this happen, even though you know it's an actor, you know that he signed it, you know that he saw the scene before and was like, I'm willing to do that. Like, I know it's going to be tough, but I want to do that. It does not make it any easier. Or, I mean, the ways that you just have to treat another human being, which would never be acceptable now. I mean, it doesn't stop it from happening.
Yeah.
But I mean, but like, it's just, there was just really it was a difficult subject matter.
I mean, was it hard at the end of the day? Were you able to go home and kind of leave it behind, or did you sort of carry it with you during that time?
I would go home and pour myself a very stiff drink and just try to go to sleep.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, but it was 105 degrees outside, 1,000% humidity. We're wearing all those clothes and all that. So you'd go home and you were just knackered.
And then you probably had to be up in like 5 hours and do it all over again.
We didn't. I mean, there was. Can't really talk about turnaround and all that. It's sad, can I? Anyway, we got it done. That's all that matters. We got it done.
And I'm curious, when you're doing scenes like this and characters are not being kind to each other, there must have been a great trust amongst the cast in order to, get through these scenes. And did you sort of check in with each other afterwards?
There was a lot of sort of like leaning on other people and relying on other people. And, Coleman Domingo specifically is one of like the best-hearted, most beautiful men I've ever seen in my life. Like, just on the inside, he's just an incredible human being. And he was there in such an incredible way because he brought so much sort of gravitas and wisdom, but also allowed it to be a process where it was educational and it was great. And hearing him talk about things and being like, now you see this over, everybody needed everybody on that. And it wasn't just the actors, between the actors, it was everybody. I mean, if a grip or an electrician or someone in transpo saw someone having a tough time, they'd go over and be like, okay, I mean, there was a lot of rallying on this.
Well, I mean, you have this amazing cast too. I mean, everyone from Asia Naomi King to Penelope Ann Miller plays your mother. Yeah. That must be so awesome, because I grew up watching her movies. I want her to be my mother. Yeah. And it's an outstanding ensemble. I mean, what was it like to get to work with all these amazing people?
It was great. We all spent so much time. We all spent so much time together because it was such a sort of small process. It was amazing. I mean, there were so many people in here that I grew up with, and like as an actor, really respect and really enjoy their work. I mean, whether it be Jackie Haley or anybody like that. I mean, to get to do scenes with them was great.
Even those scenes.
Even those scenes, yeah.
I mean, you've worked with so many amazing people. David Fincher and Clint Eastwood and Leonardo DiCaprio. Do you ever get intimidated when you show up to set?
I think fortunately now I'm at a point where I look at it like my work. Like, this is my profession. This is what I'm dedicating my life to. So it's their work too. Like, I might really like somebody and just kind of geek out from it and go, hey man, by the way, what you did in that movie and also that thing and the way oh man, just awesome. And then it's like, great, so should we get to work? Yeah. And that's, and then it's just business as usual. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, What's been your most difficult role in your career? I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but right out of the gate with Social Network, I would just think logistically. Yeah, that, You know, it's funny. I never even really think about that or consider the process or how it was to make it, because I was so new to this and it was such a crazy experience. It's sort of like that first time you do anything that's really intense, where it just goes, and then all of a sudden you're done. And you're like, what just happened? And they go, you just made a movie. And you go, I did? And they go, yeah. You go, how was it? And they go, I don't know, we'll see. It was so, like, it was one of the craziest things I've ever done in my life. And yes, you are right. It is one of the most difficult things I've ever done, because, I mean, we've all heard stories about David Fincher's directing style, which is the best, but it's incredibly taxing. The man just doesn't get tired, and he expects the same from you. He stands on his feet the whole day and just goes, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again. And you just do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again.
And then you have to do it again because you're playing twins.
And then he'd go, cut, print, keep that one, delete all the other ones. Okay, go switch characters. And then you go and you do the whole thing, and then you start again, do it 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 again, until you go. But it's great, because I remember after that movie, everything I ever did after that, anytime they go, all right guys, that's a wrap for the day, I always go, done already? Like, even still, I'm like, that's it? Okay, I'm going home. Like, it just, everything seems so much easier now.
I mean, that was such a seminal role and a huge role in a movie with such a big director. I've always been curious, how did you land that part?
I think I was just 6'5".
Yeah.
They needed someone who was 6'5". They needed someone who seemed like they knew how to row. I had no idea how to row. I told them I knew how to row.
Sure, special skills.
As you do, yeah. But I think they just needed a specific type of character, and I think Fincher's incredibly demanding and exacting. And we went in, and I went in and I auditioned with Josh. Josh Pence was the other actor who helped create the twins, and did as much as I did, to be perfectly honest. And we went in together and got hired, and then started making this movie. So.
My mom still doesn't believe that there's only one of you. Like, I have you probably get that all the time, but I've told her so many times, she wants to know which one is in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. While we were trying to watch it, I was like, Mom, there's only one, I promise you. I don't know what she thinks the other one's name is. Do you mind if we talk briefly about Nocturnal Animals? Because I love this movie so much. Tom Ford's film. How did you come to be involved with that?
I'd read for A Single Man back in the day.
Really?
Yeah, when I was younger.
For the Nick Holt role?
For the Nick Holt role, yeah. And I ended up getting to the point where I read with Tom, but then nothing ever, obviously I wasn't in the movie, but we just always sort of, not kept in touch, but you know, whenever we'd see each other, I'd make sure to say hi, or he'd say hi, kind of thing. And then one day I get a call, and he says, "Hi, Armie, it's Tom." And I was like, "Oh, Jesus. Hey, dude, what's going on?" And he's like, "Listen, I'm shooting a movie in LA, and I would love for you to be in it. It's a small part. You'd only have to work for a little bit, but I would love it if you would do it. Would you do it?" I was like, "No." Yeah, of course. I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, sure. You had me at shooting in LA with you. Fine, let's do this." And then we did. Like, all my stuff really took place in and around Los Angeles, in this sort of weird bubble of the uber wealthy in Los. It's a very,
I want your home in that movie.
Jeez, you should see, like, it was so impressive. Like, we got there to film, and I just went, this is my house? And they go, yeah. I go, what do I do? Like, am I like a drug lord? This is crazy. I'm a banker. How do I have this house, you know?
I just assumed that was Tom Ford's real house.
No. I bet his is even nicer. Yeah.
It's so funny. So did you even read the script, or you committed before even reading it?
No, I read the script. I asked to read it, and he sent it to me, and I thought, yeah, great. It's so different from your first movie. And he's like, yeah, in every way that A Single Man is beautiful and looks like just a portrait of a gorgeous oil canvas. Like, every frame is perfect. This one is dark and angry and visceral and scary, and it's a very different movie. It seems like it's just a totally different director, which is, I think, a testament to what he's able to do.
I just have to say, it's so funny because Jake Gyllenhaal was here a couple days ago, and I don't know if anyone saw that, where he imitated Tom Ford, but he did the exact same voice you did. It's Tom.
It's
Hello,
his voice.
It's Tom.
Yeah, that's how he talks.
But he said he was like spraying perfume when he did it.
Oh, yeah. He does smell really nice all the time. Yeah.
I am not surprised, because he's perfect at everything. I do want to take some questions from the audience, and I apologize in advance if I butcher anyone's name. This is a question, from Angie Gregory. Hey, over there. This is a good question. I should have asked this. Was the dialect something you were already familiar with, or did you learn it for the film?
I was familiar sort of like with the generalized Southern accent. My mom's family's all from Texas and Oklahoma, and they've got their own slightly different but versions of twang. And I'd done Southern accents before, but this one was really kind of different. It's not even an accent that you can really kind of find that many places anymore. I mean, the closest place you can kind of find something similar is almost Northeast, just because that's really similar accents to what came over originally. So it was something where I wanted to get the Virginia part of it right, and then make sure that it didn't have any of the sort of modern colloquialisms in it. I tried to use as few contractions as possible. I made sure to take my time when I was talking, and it just, instead of sounding young and blah, 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 that kind of thing. I did a lot of listening to old recordings. There's actually I worked with a dialect coach out here named Michael Buster, who's great, and he ended up finding hours and hours and hours of recordings of, even all the way back to Civil War veterans who made recordings for the House of Congress or stuff like that. So I had examples, nothing that was really pinpointed to Norfolk County, which is where this was, but in and around that same area.
Would you have to stay in the accent between takes?
No, but I had a phrase that I would say that kind of used a lot of the sounds that I liked. So I would say in the accent, I would say the lone long pine up on the hill would barely stand a chance if I took my axe to it. So the lone long pine up on the hill would barely stand a chance if I took my axe to it. But it has a lot of the sounds and dropping R's and adding things and all that. So I just was able to use that kind of before each take. I just say that a couple times.
Who came up with that phrase?
I did.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, you must have a facility with accents, though, because obviously you did Russian for Man from U.N.C.L.E., and you've done some other, colloquial.
Fun. It's like there's like a musicality to it.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a musician before I wanted to be an actor, so it gives you a chance to hear melody and all that stuff.
We have a question from Orlando Rivera, sorry. Orlando, did you sneak out or are you just being shy? Oh, sorry, way back there. Wants to know if you have any advice for the audition process aside from being 6'5".
Dude, good luck. I hate auditioning so much, and I'll be honest. I know myself well enough to know I'm not a very good auditioner. It's a really strange thing. I mean, there are classes. I definitely took auditioning classes, and you can do that as an actor, and you can go study where they put you through every week a sort of auditioning process. And I guess the idea is to sort of like desensitize you to this atrocious process. But it was always so difficult because I think so much of what acting is just going off of whatever you guys are doing, and even if it's not exactly what you planned, as long as you're doing something with that other person, it looks like you two are doing something. And it's hard when you've got a casting director who, some of them are great. I mean, some of them really care. A lot of them really care, and then some of them get busy. Some of them maybe have had a stressful day, and they're just like this, and they're, well, but why do you say that? You're just like, why am I here? I don't know. And it can break. It can be crushing. I don't know. I think the best thing about auditioning is to just keep doing it. I mean, I probably have done thousands of them, and I'm sure thousands of them were terrible, but you just gotta go. You just gotta keep doing it, and then just have like a clear intention of what you want to do and what you want to get across, and then more than anything, like just listen to the other person. Like try to notice their eye color, try to do something so you don't get all stuck in your own head or worried about your own thing. Just try to be there, I guess. Try to be present, because that being present, I think, reads just as well as being specific with a character if it seems like you're 1,000 miles away. I don't know.
Did you ever have any like disastrous auditions, or was it
so bad? So bad. Yeah.
I didn't know if it was just like a matter of.
I had an audition recently, and I'm not going to say who, but I went in for a director, and I was so excited. I mean, so excited. I'd been working on this for 5 days, like nonstop. Like as soon as I got it, I was like, okay, nobody bother me. Like this has to take priority. And I just work. And then I go in and I get there and I sit down and they're like, okay, they'll be here in a minute and all that. And I was like, okay, cool. And like 20 minutes goes by, like 30 minutes goes by, 40 minutes go by. And I'm like, oh man, okay, don't let this bother you. Like, don't let it take you out. Like, you're here to do your job. Like, that's fine. Okay, we're going to do this. Let's go. And then in comes, sit down. How you doing? Yeah, good to see you. Okay, let's do this. Let's do the first scene. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. Let's do the second scene. Blah, 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 blah. Great. Okay, let's do that third scene. Blah, 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 blah. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. And I was like, I'm going to kill you. It's... And I didn't get the job.
Gonna ask.
I think I just was, but it's like that could have been one of those things where he met me in person and was just like, I don't like his haircut. I don't like his eye color. I don't like the whatever. I've been told I don't like the sound of his voice, and it can be something that's that simple that keeps you from getting a job. It's not always you. It's not always you need to do your job better. Sometimes it's they really want someone whose eyes match her eyes, or something like that.
Or you remind them of someone from their past. I've heard that one a lot.
Thankfully, I haven't gotten that one.
I have a question from Brandon. Hey, wants to know, when working on a project, do you prefer shooting on location or staying local?
My wife would probably kill me for saying this, but shooting on location. It's when I shot Nocturnal Animals here in LA, I'd go shoot, for a whole day, and you get there 6:30 in the morning. You're there till probably 7, 8 o'clock at night. By the time it's all said and done, you go home, and then it's, we gotta cook dinner. You gotta feed the baby, and then all this stuff. And you're just like, wait, no, but I have lines. I gotta go get ready for tomorrow. Like, no, well, now you gotta do this. And you're like, okay, I'll go clean out the garage now. Good idea. You just have responsibilities at home that when you go out on location, you're afforded the opportunity to just go. And I do this, and it pisses off a lot of people, including my mom. But like, I'll just kind of turn off my phone for a couple days and just be like, I'm here, I'm focused. Like this is, I'm only here to do this. So this is what needs to take priority, and you don't really get to do that when you're at home. You gotta get your car washed and stuff.
Do you ever take your family with you on location?
Yeah, quite a bit.
Probably not for a movie like this though, when it's.
No, they came to Savannah.
You're kidding.
Yeah, well, I mean, Savannah is such a great city.
Beautiful.
So they came, and as my wife works as well, so whenever we can, they'll try to spend a couple weeks, and then maybe have to go back, and then come back again. But they always, if they're not there, which is becoming more and more frequent since we're having kids and all that stuff, they come and visit, which is so good and so helpful,
But if they're in Savannah, they're probably going to like Paula Deen's restaurant, and
they're having a good time.
Yeah, exactly. You come home.
Great time. Yeah.
They're like, "What'd you do today?"
I don't want to talk about it.
Question from Marty Kimball, right there. Wants to know who or what continues to challenge and inspire you as an actor.
Oh man, I'm always inspired by other actors. To be perfectly honest, like. I've been so lucky in the last several projects that I've done to just get to work with people where I was doing a scene with one actor named Tom Cullen.
Oh my gosh, he's amazing.
He's incredible. And we were in the middle of a scene, and next thing I realize, everything just kind of goes really quiet. And then I'm like, why did everything stop? And then I see Tom look at me and go, you have a line there. And I go, oh my God, dude, I'm so sorry. I did what you're not supposed to do, and I was watching him going, wow, that's really good. He is really good. And then and then I just missed him saying his lines and just was going, wow. Oh, now he's ad-libbing. Oh, he's so good. He's still ad-libbing. Oh, now he's talking to me. Wait, what? What did I miss? I'm just really I love watching other actors act. It's great. And you can watch and go, oh, I wish I could do that. Like, that's really good. Yeah. And what challenges me, I mean, dude, every job is different. I think every job is about figuring out what your process is as an actor and what the vibe and process is of making this movie. Because the director is going to set a tone, the set's going to have its own tone, they're going to need something from you every single time they say action, so it's about figuring out how to get what you need from that and also giving them what they need. It's all about symbiosis.
And where can we see you next? What are you working on now? I need to know what this Tom Cullen project is.
Yeah, it's called Mine. It was a small movie. We're getting Spanish distribution now, so I don't know what's going to happen with it. It was a great. Anyway, Next we have, well, Free Fire is the next thing that's
Oh
coming
my
out.
gosh, I am the biggest Ben Wheatley fan in the world.
He's amazing.
Yes.
Isn't he? Yeah, Ben Wheatley.
And the sweetest guy. He makes very dark, twisted movies, and he's like this teddy
Seems
bear.
like a psychopath, and then you meet him and you go, "You're not Ben Wheatley. You're really sweet." Like but he makes these movies that are, every single one of them is so different from the last one that he made, whether it be Sightseers or Kill List or A Field in England, which feels like you took mushrooms the whole time you're watching the movie. Every movie is so different, and this one is no different. The entire movie takes place in a warehouse in 1978 in Boston, and it's a gun deal that just starts and then just continues to go wrong until it just explodes.
Wow.
I mean, they haven't made a movie like this probably since the 70s or 80s, you know, and I think that was his point.
And it's Brie Larson and you, and it has a
Cillian Murphy, Jack Rayner, Michael Smiley, Sharlto Copley. It's a really fun cast. And because we all shot in one warehouse, we were all there all day, every day. First thing in the morning, we all got called. We were there till the end of the day, because if they were shooting something, say between Cillian and Michael Smiley, and Ben goes, you know, this angle's not really that interesting. What if we just move it a little bit over there? Oh shit. That means we'll see, okay, we need Armie, we need Jack Rayner, and we need Brie. And they'd come and get us, where we'd be waiting, and we ended up making like a lounge where we had like a ping pong table and dartboards and all that. We were just hanging out all day. And then they'd come on guys, we need you. And they go, no, we're in the middle of a dart game. And they go, get your asses on set. And then we'd run out. And it was a really fun process. And we shot it in Brighton, England, which is a great little coastal town.
I remember asking him what it was about during an interview for High Rise, and he literally told me the whole plot from start to finish.
Yeah.
Now I almost don't have to see the movie, but I still want to.
I bet it's changed a little bit
Yeah,
since then.
probably. Anything else that you're working on now?
I've got a couple projects actually in development. I'm now I'm really interested in the idea of sort of producing and sort of being responsible for my own content. Like I said earlier, I'm actually working with Lionel Wigram, who was the producer for Man from U.N.C.L.E., and Guy Ritchie and I are all kind of partnering up and making a television show. So we'll be in development for that and trying to get all that going. So. And
you mentioned you would like to direct at some point?
I would, yeah.
Any dream projects out there, or just?
Not yet. It's gonna take me going, this is great, and I cannot let anyone else direct this, probably.
Well, I can't wait to see what you do next, especially if it's Free Fire. Thank you so much for being here. Congratulations on not one, but two great movies this year. It's been a really great year. Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming. Appreciate it.